Metal. How we doing, kids? It's Todd from ToJu Racing. We're doing a little Sunday F1 tuning. Alright. So before we start, I've got a little bit to say about the F1, just from racing with it and what have you. This is one problem. That happens instantly. When you're racing them, you may as well just take it off. I hate saying that, unless you glue it in, and if you glue it in, then you're going to break the darn thing. So, I mean, it's in there statically, but as you saw, it took nothing to have it come out. So, I'm not sure what to tell you on that, but they're all probably the same way. So, at least they're made to come off and not break, which is good. So that's good. I threw the Paul gauges on this one, and you can see the problem right there, I imagine. You can see it's only riding on these dimes, basically, or pennies, or, you know, very thin slivers on either side of the car. Yeah, I know it needs trued. I don't need anybody to tell me that. But here's part of the problem, too. They're really tight. I mean, they don't really rub, but it's tight. I just need to trim that up some, and I will. But, I mean, without major grindage, these ones are never going to be flat, man. They are, you can feel how concave they are. And I mean, the hubs are really deep, you know, the gap between the end of the rim and the actual raised center part of the wheel. So I don't care for that. And then this is really interesting. I don't know if you guys can see the tire difference. Now, these are the truck tires. Here's what's interesting. I threw these suckers on there. They set flat as a pancake, and it rolled great, except you had, you know, that much, you know, too much tire sticking out of the far end. I mean, it didn't come in and rub, and it actually ran really good, but it looked freaking stupid. So, okay, that's out. Can't do the truck tires. All right, here's the actual tires. I've moved the sets around, and they don't seem to fit any different on either car. Okay, and if you look, you know, there's a significant depth difference between these. These ones are definitely thicker, you know, and that's where you get that rubbage. These ones are really thin. These are a little thicker, which is nice. It raises the back end up just a skosh, you know. So, because remember, it runs on the front, so I think it would ride a little better with a slight height gain, but I'm not 100% sure. Then these tires are for the 1975 Capri. They're Dave's tires, the Dirty Dave's, but they did not sit right either. They were like this, and we would have had to, you know, do major grindage to get them to go down, and I don't have that type of a tire grinder. Mine's more of it's a truer. It'll, you know, take, you know what I mean, that one will take a little bit off that I have, but it's not going to take any major amount down, especially not on a urethane tire. But I mean, it does do a lot of good to put it on there. It gets them nice, you know. The tires that sit pretty good can be fixed, but these don't sit good enough to be fixed, I guess is where I'm going with that. So I'm thinking about, you know, until I get a real one of some sort, another one, I might be able to put one of my Dremel drums, put the tire around the Dremel drum, and then just use a piece of sandpaper and hold it and do it myself. I'm going to look into that to try to get these ones to work. But so at this point, the Paul gauges aren't all they're cut out to be for this car. There may be alternate options, the Bobcats, or somebody else making some. Or I guess you could always make your own, like Shotgun Dave does. That just popped into my mind. So if I can't find any other solution, I can always just mold these and make some. So I mean, I assume that that's what these are, but I don't know. They don't fit the way they're supposed to. So, yeah. I mean, it ain't that big of a deal. It's only $450. So, and I'll just throw them in the pile of spare tires, you know, like we found with the truck tires, that the trucks, they sat flat on the trucks, but the problem with the trucks was that they raised the truck up so much that the front end, since as low as it is, if it hit just a corner piece of the track wrong, it would lift the front end up, and you could easily deslot. So we had better luck with the rubber tires. So anyway, I just wanted to go over that quick little tire conundrum problem with these cars and the Paul gauges and all that. Now, let's get to tuning this car. So there's 4 screws. There's 2 here, 1 behind your guide, That one's really important. I'll go over why here in a minute. And then the front one. And before you begin, you want to take your front wing off and your back wing off. You got to take the wing off to get the body off. There's a joke there somewhere. The head bone's connected to the neck bone. The neck bone's connected to the tailbone. I haven't sung that song in some time, so I don't remember all the words. All right, I like to just get something and push them out through these little tabs on the bottom. You can kind of wiggle them about a little bit and jockey them, but I don't feel comfy doing that. I don't want to break one. These ones don't really come out as you race either. So, all right, so there you go. All right, boom. Looks kind of cool that way, doesn't it? Anyway, all right, let's get these screws out. If you have a spare magnet from one of your cars, it's great to put it on the shaft of your screwdriver. It will obviously magnetize the screwdriver, and I'll show you one other benefit as well. A lot of you guys know this, but for those that don't, I will show you. So as you take them off, just put them in a little pile. Don't want to lose your screws. It's a real pain in the butt if you do, and you need all 4 of them for this car. Sometimes you can get away with 3 on some of the others. You got to kind of move your guide aside. We did get the slot invasion guide on these, and it did help them stay on the track a little better, so I can highly recommend a Franken slot or slot invasion guide, whichever one is your choice. I think they're both one and the same personally. The Frankens are kind of cool that they're orange. I kind of like the red ones now and then. Since it's a red car, I used a red one. All right, one more here. Oh, come on now. All right, they're all in a pile. Don't want to lose them. Hit them, knock them. Boom, you got all 4 screws. Something to think about. All right, now when you're taking this off, there's this little tab back here, and it fits into this little notch on your exhaust pipe. So when you put it back on, you want to fit it into that and then slide it forward, and it'll pop right on there. If you don't, it won't seem to sit right. So just a word of a wise, there is a little key on the back. All right, what's interesting about these ones is they've got these can motors that are longer. You got your standard Carrera chip here. What is interesting though is they didn't use any quick connects. Everything's actual solder connections to save the space from them quick clips. Okay, and it looks like these axles have picked up some junk. Maybe this is why my car was slower. And then we're gonna take these apart, sand these axles down, and then we'll put some grease on these gears. All right, so what I was talking about with that other screw, this piece right here, see how it's flopping around? It's held in by these 2 little holes right here, and then the actual screw. So you want to make sure you get your screw there for that. My chip was a little bit loose there, no big deal. Alrighty, so we got our axle out. Let's move our handy dandy. Let's get this stuff out of the way. All right, while we're at this, we'll take these off because these just aren't working out. Yeah, there's some hair and junk on my axles. You see that? Right there? I guess I'm losing my hair, huh? And there's some on this side too. Jeez. Wow. Of course there is. I keep my house clean, but you know, when you have a dog, there's dog hair everywhere. I actually thought that should be a death metal song. Dog hair everywhere. You know, get like Cannibal Corpse to sing it or something like that. That'd be hilarious. All right. So these go right here. Clean that bad boy up. These axles sit kind of funny. They're really tight and on the middle. You can see just a little bit of wear from that bearing, so let's clean that baby up and get her super clean. Still a little bit of lint in there. All right, and as you know, I like to shine them up a little bit. You crazy diamond, you. And I just get it tight and then spin the axle back and forth some. And the other side. Keep that back end as drag free as possible. And always you want to do a little cleanup. That steel wool will kind of shred a bit as it does its thing. And move it and do the other side. And the other side. Move it and do the other side of that axle. Okay, all right. You know, this one I'm going to hit again. This one you're going to kind of have to move around and do both sides with the bearing. Now that I look at it, because it kind of sits in the middle. Like I said, these ones sit kind of funny. This is a really good song. Echoes from the Pink Floyd album Metal, released in 1972. The last album before Dark Side of the Moon, before they really took off. The best Pink Floyd is pre-Dark Side anyway, if you ask me. But what do I know? Music is a very subjective thing. There's no wrong answer. You know what? I'm going to hit this one a little bit from this side as well, just to be safe. Again, because of where they sit. And now we'll need to do a quick polish on those parts too. You can't do the front. I'll show you why here in a second. There are no bearings on the front. It's just sitting inside just a little plastic notch, for lack of better words. And when you put the oil back on this one, I would wait until it's back on the car. But before we do that, let's go ahead and lube up that pinion gear. And then we'll get it distributed onto the crown. Not too much. These were fairly dry out the factory, I noticed, which I forgot to bring up earlier. And you can actually see the little bit of wear on them. I wish Carrera wouldn't do that. Oh, and while we're at it, I wanted to bring up the magnet. These magnets are one piece. There is no shim, so you don't got to worry about having to spin anything. And I'm not exactly sure how you even pull this motor out. It looks pretty solid with holding it in at this end. I'm sure you can, but since it's soldered, I don't know, man. Anyway, I don't think you need to do that. So, and since there's no shim, you don't got to worry about that whole magnet problem. All right, so let's pop these back in. See what I mean? It's super close where they sit due to the design of the car. So you can't really, it's fiddly. You got to do both sides when you're polishing it up. Just one little trick about it. And then just pop her back in. I always get nervous when you're doing that. You guys get nervous when you're doing that? And get that grease distributed nice. While you're at it, go ahead and put your little drop. On both sides. Keep it angled that way for a moment. Let it get in there. Kind of spin it around, move it around in there. All right. Nice and smooth. That's the way it should sound. I'll do Dave's after this. I'm not going to do that as part of this video because there's no need to see the same thing twice. This is a really neat thing. You can actually see the carbon fiber texture of the front end. They did mold that in there, the little lines. I doubt you can see it on the actual video. Maybe you can, but it's really cool how that's on the arms of the front end. So while I have that up there, you can see this just sits in that little notch. I'm sure there's a small hole or something. I don't want to pop it out because, you know, these ones might be a little fragile. I mean, that actually rolls pretty good. It hasn't even been greased. I can hear it squeaking. But so just add a drop of oil, you know, down there where it sits on the axle. Whoops, whoa, hey. All right, I goofed up there. Never a bad idea. Have your tissue handy or a paper towel. Fix those little mistakes because that oil will creep down in there anyway. I'm going to do this side too just to make sure. I don't want oil on the track. That does roll really good, but like I said, it really doesn't. The front end really doesn't touch. So I think that's why they didn't put bearings on it. You know, now that I think about it, because they knew the front end really wasn't going to touch other than in like corners and stuff. It'll turn a little bit, but not much. So I don't know. That might make it run better because you don't have that whole drag and all that stuff. So anyway, there's your tune job. Let's put this baby back together and what have you. I'm going to go ahead and get the tires on it while I'm at it. These tires are kind of tricky. The best way is to just kind of pop them on like this and then turn them because of that deep hub. Kind of jerks about coming back on, but you just got to show that tire who's boss, that's all. Maybe think of that Austin Powers moment. Who does number 2 work for? It was a funny moment. Even doing it this way, there's still a little bit of a fight. These ones are super tight. All right, here we go. So like I said, there's your little notch and the notch. Put the notch in the hole. Slides right down. No, there's all of our screws where we left them. Little piece of steel wool was stuck on the magnet. That's kind of funny. Boy, I have a lot of cars to tune in there. I need to take them all apart and clean them and all that. They might have that freaking hair lint in them, you know. That's why I can't have a track on the floor. I wish I could, because I could really make some cool designs like Ryan does. So be sure you get that screw put back behind your guide, because it's what holds that thing in place, and if not, it's going to flop around, and I'm sure that'll cause problems. You don't want loose parts. And the last one in the nose. And just reinstall your rear wing. Just get your tabs lined up with your holes. And of course, whenever you're doing this, be kind of gingerly. There's one. There we go. And you can push this back in place. It won't stay there, but there we go. She's back together and tuned. All right, we're not going to do a track test or anything in this video. I am going to mess with it some more and play with the tires some more, so look for some more F1 videos. They, like I said, they're extremely fun and challenging to race if you haven't got to watch the race yet. I'll go ahead and put a link to it right up here. But do check it out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty good. Dave just crushes me with his Red Bull. His Red Bull is faster, at least before all this tuning, and his might be faster after I tune it. So I don't know. Ferrari may not win this one. Hopefully it does. Anyway, it's all good, man. Racing is fun. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this tuning video. Thanks everybody for checking it out. Hopefully you made it this far. If you're new here, please give me a subscription. I really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. It really helps support the channel. And if you'd like and you appreciate it, please, I can't talk. If you'd like, oh boy. If you'd like, please comment. We would appreciate it. There we go. Man, I tell you, my brain, I'm old. It doesn't work as good as I wished it did. So anyway, again, I'm rambling on. So thanks everybody. Remember, there's no wrong, I can't talk, kids. There's no wrong way to slot car. Be a kid as often as possible. See you later, slot cowboys. Race on.